Hey, what's going on, everybody? Mountain Man back here for part 3 of episode 3, the skills and perk system. Episode 1, we went over the basics of how to get skill and perk points, where to put them, how to reset them, what the difference was between passive and active skills and perks. Then we went over the stalker tree. Part 2 was the ambusher tree, and part 3, which is this video right here, is going to be going over the perk trees. Now, the perk trees only have 6 perks per tree, so I think we can get through all of them in one video and not make it too obnoxiously long. I'm not going to be going over any of the basics of the system. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can check it out in the very first part 1 of episode 3. Before we go on, I just want to make a note that I've made some social network groups. I have a Steam group now. I've got a Facebook group. If you want to, skip on over there. Subscribe to both of them, just so you can kind of keep on the up and up when I upload videos, when I'm, doing different things. Just, if you don't want to, don't do it. If you'd like to, hop on over there. Links will be down in the description below. And as always, if you like the videos, give me a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe. You know the routine. I've already said it before, but I'll say it again. Even if you don't like the content, let me know so I can change it. Because I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can with these videos. I'm still new to it, but I'm learning. So, that all being said, let's dive straight into the perk trees. In order to get to perks, all you got to do is hit F4 on your keyboard input device, and that will bring up your perk trees. Now, skill trees will affect how you track animals, how you use scents, how you use collars, how visible you are, how much noise you make. Perk trees are going to affect your weapons and how you use them. They're going to do various things, such as affecting, um, how they are going to work in terms of giving them extra functionality, and also they're going to change things like how much aim sway you have while using them, how it's going to affect your heart rate, etc., etc. It's important to note that perks in these trees. So, say a perk is in the rifle tree, it won't necessarily only affect rifles. It could potentially affect other weapons. And a lot of these trees have stuff that will affect all other weapons. So it's really important when you're planning out how you're going to be putting in your perk points to figure out exactly what you want to get out of it. Even if you don't use handguns, there's perks in there that affect all weapons that could be handy to have. So just something to keep in mind. Also keep in mind, you're only going to end up with 22 perk points by the time you're level 60, so spend them wisely. Let's just get into it. We'll start with the rifle tree, and then we'll just work our way down there from rifles to handguns to shotguns to archery. Um, yeah, so let's start with rifles. Now, the perk trees aren't set up like the skill trees. Skill trees have the tiers, and you have to put a certain number of points in them in order to move on to the next one. Perk points are not like that. All you have to do is put a point in the previous perk, and the previous perk will unlock the perk next for you to put the point into. That was a lot of P's in a row, but I think I nailed it. So you can put 1 point in, say, muscle memory, and that will unlock these two for you to put points into. So we'll start with muscle memory. Level 1 unlocks the ability to ready your next shot without leaving aim mode. Really handy if you want to really quickly do a follow-up shot, or if you want to watch to see if the animal dropped or ran away and what direction it ran in. This does not affect bows, and it does not affect break action rifles. So the 7mm and the 338 are still going to reload. They're still going to break you out of your sight until you reload it, and then you'll go back in, which I think is kind of obnoxious. It'd be nice to have a manual reload option just so you can stay scoped in. But until they add that in, muscle memory doesn't work for those two. And again, it won't work for bows either. But it will work with every bolt action rifle. It will work with both lever action rifles. Also works with all handguns and all shotguns. So definitely putting 1 point into this is very handy if you like to see what happened to the animal after you shot it. Level 2 gives you an increased ready speed after firing for all weapons, so that means you can do a follow-up shot quicker if need be. I don't know exactly how much quicker. It's like a second and a half, roughly. It's not a huge amount, but it's enough that you can get up a follow-up shot before the animal runs off into the bushes. This obviously isn't going to work with the 7mm and 338. It will work with the bows, if I remember correctly, although because they have such a long reload time, it's very, very unnoticeable. And honestly, with bows, if you're not hitting the animal properly with the first shot, you're not going to get a second shot on it. unless you really, really drastically increase your reload speed, which this isn't going to do that for you. So at least 1 point into this. You can put in 2 if you'd like, but 1 point is good enough. Breath control, very, very handy perk to have. I would definitely put 3 points into it, and I'm going to go over why. Hold breath is an action that can be performed in aim mode to steady a weapon temporarily when lining up a shot. So, when you have your shot lined up, and you want to eliminate, or at least lessen the amount of aim sway that you have, which is how much your reticule is moving around, your sights are moving around, you hold down left shift. You'll hold your breath, that'll steady your aim, but it will also raise your heart level to the point where when your heart rate gets too high, you're going to let your breath out, and your aim is going to sway all over the place. It's going to get all wild willy-nilly. Level 1 will decrease your heart rate penalty from exhaling, which reduces the cooldown until your breath can be held again. So what will happen is when you exhale, your heart rate will go up. And it's going to take it longer for you to get ready to hold your breath again because you're going to wait for your heart rate to go down. This is going to decrease the penalty for your heart rate going up, which means you'll be able to hold your breath quicker. Definitely handy. Level 2 gives you an increased duration before you need to exhale when holding your breath. You can hold your breath longer. That just means you can use it longer and have more time to line up your shot before you have to breathe out. Level 3 gives you decreased aim wobble when holding your breath. So that just means when you hold your breath, your aim sway is going to be next to nothing. So, if I remember correctly, I think I have a rifle equipped. By God, I do. So, if I equip this, aim. So you see I have a lot of aim sway here. Crouch down. But if you hold down left shift, almost nothing. It almost is sitting still. Just because of the increased, or the decreased wobble. You see my heart rate just went up and I had to let my breath out. And now it's swaying quite a bit. But you see how quickly my heart rate went down? Now I can hold my breath again. Without those points in there, it does take noticeably longer for you to be able to hold your breath again. And it does take a little bit longer for your heart rate to come down. This works, if I'm not mistaken, this works in conjunction in the stalker tree with endurance. So endurance increases your endurance, that your heart rate rises slower when moving and falls faster when idle. I do believe that this will affect your heart rate when you are holding your breath. It'll also affect how fast it drops after you've let your breath out. Just a fun little fact. So it's definitely worth putting in 3 points into that, at least to get to the decreased aim wobble, because it basically means that your weapon's not moving at all. It'll really, really drastically decrease that. Steady hands will decrease wobble when in aim mode with using any weapon. Each level unlocked increases the effect. So 2 levels. Each one's going to decrease the amount of wobble that you have when you're in aim mode. This is going to work in conjunction with level 3. That leads to basically a reticule that just sits still. So when you have the shot lined up, you hold your breath. You don't have to worry about it wobbling all over the place. This is very handy for people who use controllers, by the way, because from what I've understood, using a controller to aim in this game is like sticking toothpicks under your fingernails. So if you are a cinemasochist and you like to use a controller to aim, by all means, get these. The rifle tree works for pretty much everything in the game, pretty much every weapon in the game, so it's really useful to put your points into this. Next is zeroing. Zeroing is a active perk. It's our first active perk that we've come across. Zeroing is a perk that I really like. I really like it. I really like having the 2 points into it, and I'm going to explain why. So this unlocks the ability to switch between different zero distances in addition to the default medium range zero on any weapon that supports it, which is every weapon in the game. Now, what a zero distance is when you sight in a weapon at 100 meters, you know that when you pull the trigger, it's going to put the bullet in the middle of your reticule at 100 meters. That's it. That's all it means, is that you're adjusting the scope up, down, left, right, whatever, to offset for the natural offset that the rifle has, but also to offset for bullet drop. As there is no wind deflection in this game, side to side isn't something you really have to worry about. Your bullet isn't going to go straight, and it's going to go down based on the distance. Now, the short range zero isn't particularly useful because up to about 150 meters, every single rifle in this game is going to put the bullet in there pretty much right on the dot. Even the lever actions, which is a little weird because in real life, lever action bullets are very, very heavy. And past about 100 meters, they eat shit. Sorry, they just got a lot of drop. They're great underneath 100 meters, but after that, you're really playing with fire. But in this game, up to 150 meters, every single rifle is really, really accurate. Now, this will work a little bit better with shotguns. The over-under shotgun, honestly, is terrible. It's very inaccurate, even at short distances, so I'm not sure zeroing is really going to help it. But this definitely helps with the pump action when you're using slugs. Level 1 unlocks a short range zero. Level 2 unlocks your long range zero. Now, long range zero is where this perk really comes into it, because past 150 meters, you do get significant bullet drop if you are not using the zeroing perk. So I would recommend having it on. It is an activatable skill perk, so you do have to activate it in here. But unlike a lot of the other skills and perks, you don't have to turn it on, so to speak. It's always on, but you're toggling it between the different distances. So I'll show you what I mean. Get out of here. So if you look down the bottom right, you'll see the zeroing perk icon with an F over it. Underneath that, it says 150 meters. If I hit F again, it goes to 75 meters. My rifle is now zeroed at 75 meters. That's the short range. If I hit it again, it goes up to 300 meters. Now my rifle is zeroed at the long distance, which is 300 meters. If you fall in between those, so say you get your rangefinder out and it's at 200, you're just going to have to turn on whatever's closest to it and adjust your shot accordingly. So if it's a 350 meter shot, you're going to put on 300 and you're going to aim a little bit higher just to compensate for the fact that there is going to be slight bullet drop for that extra 50 meters. Definitely a useful one to have. So I would certainly hope that you put points into it and use it, but it's one of those things where you can shoot really well without it if you're only shooting under 150 meters. As you can see, I'm up here in Layton Lakes. I really like this area. Just simply because it has these really long sight distances. So it's nice to be able to have that so I can get in here, get these really long shots, and know that I'm going to put the shot right where I want to put it. Oh, dadgummit. Focus shot. Holding your breath increases zoom when using rifles with iron, red dot, and holographic sights. This only works for rifles. It does not work for any other weapon. So basically, if you do not have a scope equipped, if you have iron sights, red dot, and holographic sights. So in case you didn't watch any of my former videos, if you press middle mouse button, it'll remove your scope. And if you press it again, it'll put it back on. So you don't have to go in your inventory and manually take it on and off. If you want to switch to a different scope, though, you do have to go into there. So say you're aiming down iron sights. When you hold your breath, it's going to zoom in. Isn't that handy? I think it's pretty handy. Oh, there's a deer over there. I'll shoot her later. And it also works with other sights. So where is it? Works with the tritium sights. And then it also works with the Red Raptor reflex sight. See? There you go. So it'll work with those. It just won't work with the scopes, which is fine because you don't really need it to work with the scopes. The scopes already zoom. Windage. Ability to gauge lateral wind direction and speed when in aim mode with any weapon. Now, this is in a weird place simply because it's in the rifle tree. And there is no wind deflection on bullets in this game, oddly enough. So I'm not really sure why it's here, and I'm not really sure why it's at the end of the tree. I have a point into it, though, because it works really well with bows. Because arrows in this game will be blown wildly off course if a mouse farts in the next county. So being able to tell what direction and speed the wind is going in can really help you offset your aim so that you don't completely whiff the shot. It is something that you have to activate, and then you have to turn it on, and then it has a cooldown. So all you got to do is click, activate, and you see it's changed down below. Hit F, and that will kind of cycle through and tell you what direction and speed the wind is going in. It really only is useful when you're hunting with bows. That's all there is to it. So again, it's really weird that it's the end of the rifle tree, but it is what it is. We're going to move on to handguns now. Now, I don't really use handguns. I'll be very honest with you. I don't find a lot of use for handguns. I might bring one along if I'm specifically going out and targeting bear or bison, just because that 454 is a tank. And if you have a bear running at you or a bison running at you, one shot is really going to put a crimp on their style. That being said, I don't really use them for hunting. I use it enough to level them up, and unlock everything. But that's about the extent of what I used them for. That being said, some of these are useful for other weapons, so we'll go through them. Sprint and load, somewhat useful. This unlocks the ability to reload all weapons while running. If you find yourself reloading while running to an animal, it's very handy. Just so you can make sure your clip's always full, or your magazine. Somebody pointed that out, the difference between clip and magazine. I use them interchangeably like I think a lot of people do. So I'm sorry if I screwed it up again, but sue me. So it's kind of handy for you to reload your weapon while you're running up to the next target. I mean, you got to put a point into it to unlock the other stuff anyway, but I wouldn't really go out of my way to get it. But yeah, that's really all it's useful for me, is unlocking everything else, because I don't really sprint and reload at the same time. A lot of times I'll put my shot just right, and I'll know the animal's down, and I can leisurely walk up to it and reload. Quick feet. Recover a steady aim faster after changing stances when using handguns. Each level unlocked increases the effect. So, I don't think I have a handgun in my bag, do I? No, why would I have a handgun in my bag? Let's go get a handgun. We need a handgun. I can't demonstrate this without a handgun. Get in the cache, backpack. You know what? I'm going to grab a handgun, and I'm going to grab a shotgun, because I guarantee you I'm going to need it at some point. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that right there, and then we're going to do a little bit of this. So, you'll notice that if you're aiming down the sights, and you switch to crouching from standing, watch what it does the moment I crouch. See that? Right there. You get a lot of sway. Same thing if I stand back up. Get a lot of sway. You don't really want to have that, because that's going to affect your accuracy. So what quick feet will do is it just means that it's going to limit the amount that happens. So each level you put into it, or each point you put into it, is going to increase the effect. It really does eliminate it. So if you find yourself having to quickly aim and change stance, it'll just help you kind of get back on track quicker. Survival instinct. Damage from animal attacks is reduced for a short duration after landing a shot on an aggressive animal. I don't find a whole lot of use from this. As I've mentioned in earlier videos, the AI for when a bear attacks you is terrible. You might be able to use it for bison, but you have to land a shot on an animal that's aggressive to you in order to get the benefit from it. So I don't really think it's worth putting the points into it, especially since if you're doing your job right, you shouldn't be getting attacked by animals in the first place. Ranger, ability to gauge approximate distance to a target while aiming with any weapon. And as I have said before, this works with any weapon. So what this will do is when you're aiming at an animal, you can activate this and it will tell you the approximate distance to it. So you can use this in place of your rangefinder if you want. So that way you don't have to whip out your rangefinder, look at the animal, get at a distance, switch to your weapon, and then shoot. This actually works quite well in tandem with sight spotting, because that'll allow you to sight it as well, or to spot it as well. So, you know, you use that, that's going to give you your range. It's going to let you spot the animal and put an outline on it and take a shot. Really helps save time in the long run. But you have to get pretty deep into the handgun tree to get it. And it is something you have to activate, so you can't use zeroing at the same time. Lightning Hands decreases reload time of all weapons. Each level unlocked increases the effect. This isn't particularly useful for rifles, because rifles are pretty quick reloaders. Even the break actions. Oh, don't have any ammo for it. That would be a good thing to have. There we go. it's slow, but the 7mm and 338 are such powerful weapons that I think ultimately it's not going to make a big difference for you because you're going to be downing the thing with one shot anyway. Um, Shotguns are pretty quick to reload. The pump action is not very quick to reload. Um, did I forget to put bullets in everything? I did forget to put bullets in everything. I'm terrible at this game, guys. I'm really just horrible at this game. Please forgive me. So, the nice thing about the shotgun is when you go to reload, it just reloads the amount of shells that you've shot. If you're really reloading just one, pretty quick reload time. This really helps with handguns, though, because if you shoot off one handgun bullet and then you want to reload, it's about a 9.5-second reload time. Watch this travesty. That was horrific. That was way too long. If they changed it so it only reloaded the one bullet that you shot, that would be way better. We'll see if they end up doing it, but right now, reload time on handguns is abysmal. So it really helps when it comes to handguns. It's a 3-rank perk. Each rank will decrease it by approximately 1 second, so it brings it down to about a 6-second reload, which is much more tolerable. It's still really, really long, but it's more tolerable. Quick Draw increases the speed and accuracy of hip shots using any weapon. Each level unlocked increases the effect. Again, dubious worth. Just simply because when are you really going to be doing a lot of hip shots? About the only time I could see you doing a hip shot is with a handgun, if all of a sudden there was an animal in your face. But if the animal's right in your face, for the most part, geez, having your weapon be kind of inaccurate is not really going to matter because the animal's literally right there in your face. Speed, yeah, you'll fire it off quicker. I don't really think it's worth putting the points into this. If you want to try it out, certainly put the points into it and try it out. But I didn't notice enough of a difference used often enough to warrant putting the points into it. Because, again, it is sort of a niche perk. You're not going to use it all the time. All right, that's the handgun tray. Let's get into shotguns. All right. Shotguns. Both eyes open. Decreases edge blur when using shotguns with iron, red dot, and holographic sights. Each level unlocked increases the effect. So, if you aim down the sights on a shotgun, if you look around the edge of the screen, it's very blurry. Very blurry, actually. Now that I look at it, I didn't realize the blur extended that far into the screen. Now this works. This is going to occur whether you have iron sights, tritium, or the holographic sight. What this perk is going to do is it's going to decrease that. 2 levels, again, each level will increase the effect. I don't find a whole lot of use for it. I mean, I don't find that the blur is that distracting. I guess maybe if they ended up adding dangerous animals to the game that can actually kill you, big cats, for example, and you have to kind of watch out for a second one at your side or whatever, it might become useful. But as it is, put 1 point into it and move on to the next tier, because 2 points into this is just a waste. Fast shouldering increases the speed of entering and exiting aim mode using any weapon. Each level unlocked increases the effect. Again, works with any weapon. But I have found that that's pretty quick to bring your weapon up. Rifles, that's real quick. Handguns, okay. They're quivering. They're quivering, and I'm not really sure I like how much they're quivering. So if they could not do that, it'd be great. Well, that was fun. A certain Windows helper, whom I shall not name because if I do, she'll speak to me again, decided that I needed her to find some videos. I'm not really sure what I said, but anyway, that's fairly quick to bring it down into sight. Not super fast, but it's fairly quick. Bows, of course, as always, take a long time to bring up. So, I mean, if you wanted to use it for bows, you could. I don't know. Again, it's sort of dubious whether it's worth putting the points into or not. If you end up find out that you're using your shotgun a lot, as you saw, your shotgun gets shouldered pretty quickly. So do rifles. This would only really be useful for handguns or bows, which kind of makes me wonder why it's in the shotgun tree in the first place. Body control. Weapon sights align faster after rotating with any weapon. Each level unlocked increases the effect. Pretty simple. So you aim down the sights. So if you watch when you move, see how the weapon kind of tilts? If you try and fire before it has centered itself, your shot's going to be off. So what this is going to do is it's going to make that the sights align with each other quicker when you come to a stop, so you can line up that shot quicker. This would probably be better to put points into than fast shouldering, because it will work with scopes as well. So it might be worth putting the points into this over this, honestly. Tracer shot gives you the ability to trigger a tracer shot when firing shotguns. Pellets will leave behind smoke trails, indicating the spread of the bullet. Our first active perk in the shotgun tree. I'm not really sure why you would want to use this. This was handy. I'll be honest, I did use this before when testing the spread of shotgun pellets before the shooting range was introduced, because that kind of really showed you how much the spread was, and it really showed you how terrible the over-under is, because the over-under couldn't hit the broadside of a barn at 2 paces. Since we have the shooting range now, and I don't need to test that anymore, I don't really know why this is in the game. I'm not really sure why you would want to have a tracer shot when you fire a shotgun, especially since it's an active perk that you have to turn on and use. I don't know, man. To me, that doesn't really seem like it's worth it. Recoil management gives you less recoil when firing any weapon and able to fire a follow-up shot sooner. Each level unlocked increases the effect. This is really handy. I think you're seeing a trend here. I would probably not go along the top level of this tree. I would go along the belly, because these are way more useful than the stuff up here. Recoil management is going to work with any weapon, and basically means that the weapon's going to buck less when you shoot. So if it's a weapon that has a scope, like a bolt action, the 243, means it's going to recoil less, so you'll be able to keep what you're looking at in your sights, longer, and it's not going to throw your sights so far up. It actually works really well with the 7mm and the 338, because those kick like a mule, and they'll basically throw your sight vertical. So definitely worth putting points into that over tracer shot. Boomstick gives you the ability to fire both chambers at the same time when using a double-barreled shotgun. I don't really know why you would need this. Again, it's an active perk. It's something you have to turn on, something you have to activate. And it only works with the over-under, which, as we have previously established, is 10 pounds of dog crap in a 5-pound bag. It is super inaccurate, especially when you're using the slugs. Anything past 20 to 30 meters, and you might as well just throw the rifle at the animal. It's probably more accurate than shooting pellets at it. So I don't see a whole lot of use for this. If you're putting your shots correctly, you're not going to need to fire both chambers at the same time. Anyway, my consensus on the shotgun tree, this, and this are worth it. This, and this need to go away. They just don't really serve a whole lot of purpose in the game at this point. That could change in the future if they're putting in different animals or different hunting styles, but as it stands right now, these three are... This one is sort of usable. These two are really not worth the points. All right, our last tree is Archery. Now, Archery doesn't have any active perks in it. Weird. Which is why I think this should be in Archery. Full draw increases the time an arrow can be drawn in aim mode before fatigue sets in. Fatigue will cause aim wobble, followed by a disruption of aim mode. Each level unlocked increases the effect. All that really means is that you can hold your arrow back longer. So fatigue does cause aim wobble, which is going to mean eventually your aim mode is going to cancel. I found that 1 point gives me more than enough time to get a shot lined up without having to run into fatigue. You can put more points into it if you want, but I don't really feel that the extra 2 points are warranted. If you're somebody who likes to plan your shot ahead, knowing an animal is about to come out of a bush, in pre-drawing, that could be useful. But I don't find that happen enough to really warrant me putting those extra points into it. Move and shoot decreases wobble while moving in aim mode using any weapon. So if you're aiming down the sights of your weapon, see how you get aim wobble the moment you start moving? Your gun really starts to sway. That's going to help eliminate that. Or not eliminate it, but at least decrease it to the point where it's not really an issue anymore. I don't really find that I'm moving a lot with myself in aim mode. Do you guys? Because, again, if they had like big cats or other dangerous game, something you have to stock and cover and you have to have your weapon ready to go, that might be useful. But as it is, you got to put a point into it anyway. In order to get to the rest of the stuff, so might as well just throw a point into it. Again, this is with the perk point. That's still quite a lot of wobble, so imagine what it looks like without it. Increased confidence. Boosts the accuracy of all bows. Accuracy is a random angle offset that occurs when an arrow is fired and should not be confused with the wobble effect in aim mode when an arrow is drawn. Each level unlocked increases the effect. If you're going to be doing any amount of hunting with bows, get 2 points into increased confidence. It will dramatically increase the accuracy of your bows. If you do not have this, run up to the animal and stab it with the arrow, because past 20 to 30 yards, you're going to whiff every single time. Even if there's no wind, you're going to whiff every single time. Always put 2 points into this if you're going to be doing any sort of bow hunting. It makes a huge difference in your accuracy over longer distances. Recycle unlocks the ability to retrieve fired arrows. There's a random chance that an arrow will break upon impact, in which case it cannot be retrieved. Level 1 increases the ability to retrieve arrows. Level 2 decreases the chance an arrow will break upon impact. So, get out our handy dandy trusty bow here. If you aim at something and you shoot, let's aim at the Comic Sans font. Let's fire a few shots. Alright, so you see, that's a broken arrow. You'll break an arrow every single time if you do not have this perk, but it gives you a chance to recover your arrows, so you can just walk up, hit E, pick them both up, and they're added back to your quiver. Unfortunately, this one will never fly again. Oh, sad arrow. He's high, though. So that's really handy to have. I mean, arrows aren't super expensive, but any amount of savings you can get would be probably really nice. Pumping iron. Increased arm strength means more draw length, increases the kinetic energy of all bows, which in turn means more damage, penetration, and speed using the same arrows. Each level unlocked increases the effect. Basically, 2 points in this is going to drastically increase the amount of power that your arrows have, which means the amount of damage that they cause to an animal. If you're going after moose and elk, having 2 points in this is very, very handy because it does increase penetration. Increasing speed simply means that it can cross a longer distance quicker, which means that you don't have to lead your target nearly as much. 2 points in this, definitely. It makes a huge difference. I really like hunting with bows in this game. As it is, though, it's a 20 to 30 yard max hunting range on them. They really do need to rework the bows, because a compound bow should be able to shoot further than 20 to 30 meters and not totally miss the target. The heavy arrows on these things, with as fast as they're going, the wind's really not affecting them that much. Now, the moment they put a traditional bow into this game, the physics for this will actually work rather well with that. I'm actually hoping they do add a traditional bow to the game. I would really love to see that. And if they use the same physics that compounds have now for crossbows, if they ever add them, it's just not going to make any sense to me at all, because crossbows should be accurate out to 100, 150 yards pretty easily. So, those were all the perk trees. Those were rifles, handguns, shotguns, and archery. As you can see, a lot of these have stuff that is applicable to all weapons. So you can certainly put points in each tree if you find that they have stuff that's useful for you. I got the most use out of rifles, out of archery, simply because those are the two weapons that I use the most. Rifles I use an awful lot. Archery for when I want to mix it up. Again, I don't really use handguns. I don't really use shotguns. Once you unlock the slugs for the shotguns, though, the pump action with the slugs, excellent weapon for going after big stuff like moose and elk and red deer and bison. Otherwise, the bird and buckshot are pretty much useless to me except in short distances. They did just tweak bird and buckshot, however, in the last patch 1.9. So previously it was counting each pellet to hit the animal as a separate shot, which means that you would never get 100% integrity on an animal using it. They now only count the first pellet to hit the animal as a shot, which means that you will get 100% integrity on an animal that you kill as long as you kill it with one shot and you're using the appropriate shot for that animal. So shotguns are a little bit more viable now. Unfortunately, you have to slog through a lot of kills with that stupid over-under in bird and buckshot before you can unlock the slugs, because the slugs, for the most part, are really where it's at. Anyway, those are the perk trees. I hope you guys really liked episode 3 and the 3 parts that were included. I know they were long videos, but it was a lot of information to get across to you guys, and I felt it was worth it to take the time to explain everything properly. I'm not really sure what the next video is going to be of, because we've already gone over inventory, gone over skills, gone over perks. I guess we could maybe go through the codex, but I don't really know about that. I'm not going to touch missions. At least not now. I might do it in the future. I don't really do the missions. I don't find them particularly engaging. I find that they're just sort of a waste of time, especially at higher levels. They make you tromp over hill and dale, and honestly, their criteria for indicating that you have completed the mission requirements is a lot of bohunk. That's all I'll say about it. But maybe they'll put changes to them in the future. But for now, I'm not really playing around with the missions that much, so I won't make a video about it. Maybe we'll start doing videos on the different weapon types, showcasing the rifles, showcasing handguns, showcasing shotguns, showcasing bows. The bow one's going to be a real quick video. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And like I said, give me a like, a subscribe, a comment, anything to let me know that I'm doing a good job and that you appreciate the content. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.